How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my actions.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
this the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone pit. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone pit. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone pit. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone pit. This is the final scene of
What up, what up, what up, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to The Cult. The Cult is a show that I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on this here YouTube channel or on Rumble or on X, where we talk about really whatever I feel like talking about, usually doing deep dives into the radical revolutionary far left, sometimes touching on internet drama and nonsense. But this is where you're going to find the very, 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 very best anti-communist education on the internet. I am no longer going to pretend that there are people that are doing this better than I am, because there's no one fucking doing this better than I am. And if you think I'm wrong, give me a name. I mean that. You know, people like to go around the internet. They're like, Carlin's a narcissist. Carlin's a sociopath. Carlin thinks that she is the very best at what I do. Yeah, I do think I'm the very best at what I do. I do. And if you disagree with me, and if you think there's someone better at me than teaching people what's going on in the real radical revolutionary far left in America, if you think there's anyone out there on the internet, any fucking person that is doing this better than me, give me a name, because I do this 6 days a week. We do Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We do Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at 6 p.m. I know I was on vacation last week, but listen, man, I take like one break a year. I think I've earned it. Other than that, I show up 6 days a week to do deep dives, almost always, though we do take a break occasionally, into the radical revolutionary far left in America. I show you guys content no one else on the internet is showing you. I break it down in a way that no one else on the internet is doing. I teach you the language. I drill you so that you understand it and you can go out and explain it to other people. There is no one on the internet that's doing this better than I am, and there's no audience on the internet that knows more about the far left in America than my audience does. My audience knows more than the conservative pundits, the conservative journalists, the commentators. They know more than the so-called fucking experts like James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin and yada yada yada. In fact, Konstantin Kisin, can we just I know Dan. I know, how dare I? How dare I? Thank you, Foggy City Dave. You're the best on YouTube, period. And thank you, Foggy City Dave, for becoming a member of the channel. I really do appreciate it, guys. Memberships on the channel do help to support the work I'm doing. I can't do it without you. I'm going to take a little screenshot of this. I'm going to be pretty proud. I'm just going to have a moment of like, Thank you, Foggy City Dave. I appreciate it. Can we gossip for a minute before we get into our round two today? Can we have a point of gossip? I've got a couple gossipy items. Actually, so let me first tell you, yeah, and listen, man, my audience are the smartest people on the internet in terms of this stuff. You guys know more than anyone. You really do. It's not just about me. It's about everyone. My goal is to teach as many people as possible about what's going on. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to continue with part 2 where we left off yesterday, because yesterday we were watching this here video called Communists in High School, and honestly, it's like we're listening to students that were recruited into the Revolutionary Communists of America in high school. If you missed yesterday's stream, go back and watch it. Now, I was talking about a bunch of other stuff at the beginning of the stream, but you can just like fast forward through and you can find this part. This is dystopian AF. And anyone who is telling you, any stupid conservative retard who doesn't actually listen to the far left, if anyone is telling you that these kids don't know what the far left is and they don't know what they're actually fighting for and they don't know why they're doing any of this, shut the F up. Honestly, shut the F up. Because we are listening to high school communists articulate everything about the far left that I've been teaching on this channel for years. So don't tell me they don't know. Don't tell me they don't get it. It is not the left that doesn't understand what the left believes. It is the right that doesn't understand what the left believes. And because the right doesn't understand what the left believes, they assume that no one on the left understands. And they get these videos of people they catch on the street where they go up to like one person at a protest. They go, "Why are you protesting?" And they try to pick out dumb people, and they probably do several tries where they get a bunch of videos of people who know exactly why they're protesting. But guess what? When you go up to a protest and you get a video of someone and you say, "Why are you protesting?" and that person says, "I'm protesting for reason A, B, C, and D," that doesn't make for good clickbait on the internet. So those videos get discarded. And you know what they keep? They keep the one video of the one dumb person they found in the crowd, because protests do actually attract dumb people in the crowd. And that one dumb person is like, I don't know why I'm protesting and I'm just against stuff. And then conservatives put that on the internet. They're like, look guys, the left doesn't even know why they're protesting. None of them know why they're protesting, even though it wasn't representative of the entire crowd. It was one dumb person that they had to find in the crowd, and it probably wasn't even the only person they talked to. But does the right ever show you stuff like this? Does the right ever show you actual legitimate high school communists talking about why they're communists in high school, talking about how they know capitalism is the greatest evil in the world, talking about how they know that capitalism has created all the problems, talking about how they were radicalized in 2020, and then with the Palestine stuff, and the Palestine stuff has really radicalized them. It's going to continue to radicalize them because Donald Trump is actually going to make the problem worse. We talked about that yesterday. No one on the conservative right ever shows people this stuff. Do you want to know why? Because it destroys their narrative. It destroys their narrative. The conservative right cherry picks evidence that is convenient to a narrative that they are trying to build that is completely unhinged from reality about what the real far left is, who they are, what they believe, how much they know, what they're doing. And why I keep screaming about this over and over and over again is I came from the left. I don't want the left to win. I don't want to live in a Marxist society. I want this shit stopped. And everyone else on the internet is playing fucking games. Maybe not everyone else. There are good people. There are. I'm not the only good person. I'm just the only person doing deep dives 6 days a week and teaching this stuff in the way that I am and teaching it to an audience that can actually explain it and teach it to other people. But we are losing, and we are losing badly. And I am so sick of going on Twitter and posting videos trying to explain this stuff and to have literally, it's almost every single time one of the first replies going, "Carlin, the far left is losing and they just hate white people." No, they're not. And no, they don't. They don't just hate white people. And they're not fucking losing. And it's like, the reason that the far left will win is because it's either because of ignorance or it's because of like actual willful withholding of information. Because I can't control the conservative punditry class. I have no influence over them. They blacklisted me years ago for calling them on their bullshit. I was very useful for them. They loved propping me up in 2020 when I repeated the talking points that they gave me to repeat, and I didn't argue and I didn't make a stink about it because I was like, we need to get Donald Trump elected president. This is for the greater good, and I'm just going to sit on my own beliefs for a second. They loved me then. The minute I started calling them on their bullshit and the minute I started saying, you guys are not telling the truth and this is what is happening and people need to know about this, is the minute that I got fucking blacklisted. Because all people on the right care about is selling a narrative that makes them money and gives them status and gives them high-powered jobs, or not even high-powered jobs, but high-status jobs with clout, where they get to go on TV shows and radio broadcasts and be the intellectuals of the internet, even though they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know why people aren't more upset about this. I don't know why more people aren't angry about this, but I guess just a lot of people want to be lied to. They want to be lied into a false sense of complacency to believe that Donald Trump is really going to fix all the fucking problems in the world, when in fact, even though I do believe he will be marginally better than Kamala Harris, I don't actually think Donald Trump is going to fix these problems. Because I don't think Donald Trump understands the problem. I don't think anyone that I've seen so far working in the Trump administration understands these problems. And I don't think if you don't understand the problem, you can't possibly fix the problem. So we're about to enter 4 years where the conservative right is getting lulled into a false sense of complacency. And their punditry is already telling them, don't worry, guys, woke is over. DEI is dead. AOC took her pronouns out of her bio. It's okay. Everything's going to be all right. Nothing to see here, guys. You can all go back to sleep. We won. They lost. Woke is dead. It is infuriating. It's infuriating. It is infuriating. Well, I don't want to be the education secretary, Dan. I want the Department of Education abolished. But I'll tell you what, if Trump, in my opinion, if Trump nominates Tiffany Justice of Moms for Liberty to be the education secretary, Trump can go fuck himself. Trump can go fuck himself right off. Like, and I've already more or less washed my hands of Trump, to be honest. I didn't vote for Trump. I don't condone the vast majority of nominees. Matt Gaetz is pretty funny. I think Matt Gaetz is going to be awesome. I want him to be Attorney General so bad. I think that would be actually hilarious. Everyone else sucks. RFK sucks. Tulsi Gabbard sucks. Marco Rubio sucks. Everyone else sucks. I kind of like this Doge thing that Elon Musk and Vivek are doing. I'm going to be honest. I actually do kind of like that idea. I kind of like that they're working together. I love Vivek. I don't agree with Vivek on everything, but I think he's got a good heart. I think he's got a good sense of it. I think he's a genuine person, and I think Elon Musk is still learning. But I do like this Doge thing. But otherwise, they suck. But I don't want to go too deep into that. Yeah, I saw that. There's a fucking Sean Duffy, the Secretary of Transportation, a Real World alum as the Secretary of Transportation. God, does anyone still remember the Real World? He was on the Real World Boston, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was on Boston because I went to school at this. I went to school in Boston, I think the year after they filmed that, and so I knew where the house was and everything, because I'm old. All right. Trendelin? I don't want to hear about it. I do have it on the list. I wanted to get it up before vacation, but yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, but that's exactly. No one knows what the real world is. You want to know why? Because we're old. There are some of us that are old. And I'm not going to explain the real world to you guys right now. You had to be there, okay? Yes. This is fuck me hard. You had to be there, okay? You had to be there. All you youngins, get off my lawn. I had to walk uphill both ways in the snow with shoe boxes for shoes in the winter to school and back. And the only thing that we had to watch when I got home was MTV. And you don't know what it was like back then. You have no idea. Oh, God. This is where the dividing line is. Who remembers the real world and who doesn't? Fuck you guys, okay? Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. This makes me old. I remember a time when we didn't have TV remotes, okay? I remember a time where there was a certain amount of buttons on the TV and that was the amount of channels. That's how fucking old I am. I remember a time where we had to have a TV guide. I remember a time where there was no on-demand TV. We had to go to the video store and rent a video, and then we had to fucking rewind the video before we returned the video. I remember when MTV actually played music. You don't know how good you have it, okay? All right. I remember looking up movie theater times in the newspaper. There were no fucking phone apps. I remember when you actually had to go to the movie theater to buy tickets. All right, we're not going to talk about it anymore. We're not going to talk about it. We're done. Okay, it's done. It's done. I remember when Moses had to use a stick to split the sea. Fuck you, Dan. All right, we're moving on. I'm old. Everyone knows it. I do, actually. I do. That was a great show. That was one of my favorite shows, actually. That was one of my favorite shows. No more nostalgia. We're moving on now. Can everyone fast forward? We are in current times. Oh, fuck, right? All right, so we're going to be continuing with our stream today, watching the rest of this communist in high school video and talking about it. It's going to be dystopian AF. I got a couple other things I want to talk about before we go into it. First of all, Jennifer and I are not doing Disenraged tonight. There's nothing wrong or anything. I'm just really still recovering from my vacation. And I was like, Jennifer, can we just postpone the show? I'm just like not feeling it. And Jennifer has been going through some stuff too, and she agreed. And so we are not going to be doing Disenraged at 9 p.m. tonight. I'm sorry if that makes it like it like upsets anyone. We're just taking a little bit of a break so I can continue to recover from my week-long jaunt across America. And so that's what we're gonna do, and we will be back. I promise you. We're just taking a little bit of a break tonight. Got some other stuff. Let's see. By the way, check this out. Right before I went live, apparently there's a new version of Suno. And Suno is the AI music tool that we use to make songs and stuff. So if you've got a Suno account, I know some people have a Suno account. Apparently, it's getting much better. We're super excited to introduce V4, enabling you to make any song you can imagine with better audio, sharper lyrics, and dynamic song structures. I'm going to be playing around with that a little bit later. I'm looking forward to that. I think Suno's great. I think it's so fun. I want to encourage everyone to play around with AI. I think AI is the best. You do AI art, do AI music. Use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the fucking best. ChatGPT will help you with anything. It can answer any question. It's so good. It's so helpful. It's so useful. It can help you win arguments. It can help you win debates. I'm actively trying to load all my content into ChatGPT to train it to understand the far left, and it actually does a reasonably good job, and it's only getting better and better and better. And so I really want to encourage everyone. I know some people have misgivings about AI, but AI is here. It's not going anywhere. And you know what? It's this, and this is just like, listen, guys, this is a reality. If you do not learn how to use AI to make your life easier, to make your job more efficient, to make things better, to make money, because you can use AI to make money very, very easily if you want to, you are going to be left behind. The people who are not embracing AI and basically saying, no, I will never use the evil technology and it is theft and blah, 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 blah. A lot of people do that. And I know AI can be scary to people, but the people that learn how to use AI and integrate it into what they're doing, you are going to have a leg up on everyone else because it is not going away. It is only going to get more advanced. It's only going to be used in more and more and more and more workplaces. Jobs are going to be eliminated based on people not knowing how to use AI. You have to be smart about this, guys. And I don't want to hear anyone going, it's woke. You have to train it. The AI will respond to the people who are training it. The AI will respond to people who are putting information in it. If you're going to opt out of it and woke people are going to be the only ones using it, then the AI is going to be woke. But if you are using it as well, guess what? It's not going to be as woke because your input's going to be in there as well. And that is that to say it's going to be perfect? No, of course it's not going to be perfect. There's always going to be people who control it. There's always going to be people who are going to be inputting stuff into it. But like, we have to use the tools that are available to us, guys, and just boycotting it, just taking your toys and going home. We can use this to create music that will teach people. Music is hypnotic. There's a reason I have AI art songs, or not AI art songs, but AI music songs that are kind of like a little bit cheesy, a little bit campy, but guess what? That stuff gets in your head and it teaches you, doesn't it? You can use AI art to create a merch store. I'm such a big fan of this. That's obviously how I've created a lot of my merch stores, using AI art to take the ideas I have in my head and put them out on paper or something in a way that is actually sustainable and scalable and all that. It just makes sense to do this. You can use AI to help you write stuff, to help you do social media schedules, to help you create anything. I'm not saying let AI do all the work for you. There should always be, I think, a little bit of human involvement, and it's not a perfect tool, but you are going to have a leg up on everyone else if you learn how to use these tools. I promise you, this is really good advice. If you fight against this, other people are going to get ahead of you, and it's going to be your own damn fault. All right? I know it's a little bit off topic from what I normally talk about, but I just wanted to let people know that. I want to gossip a little bit. Let's talk about Konstantin Kisin being a moron. Konstantin Kisin, the savior of liberal values. The classical liberal that's going to save us all from the evil left just by using his brilliant powers of deductive reasoning and his high class pinky out, I am better than everyone else, Jewish British approach. Konstantin Kisin posted this on Twitter earlier. And I have to give a shout out to Dragon Balls. I think it was Dragon Balls who alerted me to this. Let's just compare Konstantin Kisin's knowledge of the left to our knowledge of the left, shall we? I have to do the pinky out. After much thought and reading, I have come to the conclusion that this is the most important distinction in the world. Socialism, arguing about how to divide the pie. Capitalism, baking as much pie as possible. Elements of both are necessary for balance, but when you get to a situation where the socialist mindset is dominant in Europe, all the pie bakers start leaving or stop baking. What the fuck does that even mean? Does anyone have any idea? Like, what does that even mean? We literally listen to the far left all the time. We know what the far left defines as socialism, and it's not arguing about how to divide a pie. We know what the far left defines as capitalism, and it's not baking as much pie as possible. Yeah, so how might we reframe this? To actually make this make sense, because Konstantin Kisin doesn't know what the F he's talking about. Is this an Atlas Shrugged reference? I started reading Atlas Shrugged, and then I gave up at some point because it's like 8,000 pages long. Rottweiler says, socialism, your pie is private property, you won't have the right to own the pie. That's actually much more accurate. That's what socialism is. Socialism is some people have more pie than others, and the people who have more pie are on the top of the hierarchy, and they are oppressing the people who have less pie. And in order to make everything fair, we want to make sure that there are no people who have access to more pie than they actually need to flatten the hierarchy. Capitalism is whoever can buy the pie gets the pie. That's what this is. Capitalism, whoever can buy the pie gets the pie. Some people have more pie than others. That's just the way it goes. Socialism is everyone has access to all the pie that they could ever need, regardless of their private accounts. That's all. That's what we're talking about. So what the fuck is this? This is the guy that's going to save us from the left? This doesn't even make sense. No one knows what this means. This is 117,000 views, and everyone's like, yes, Constantine. Yes, that is a great analogy, Constantine. This is why the right loses and the left wins. Even though Konstantin Kissin's not even on the right. Konstantin Kissin's a liberal, pretending that he's on the right for clout and status, and he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And oh, that crazy bitch talking about socialism, she's insane, don't you know? He calls me insane all the time. Well, Constantine, I might be insane, but at least I know how the left defines capitalism, and I know what they mean by socialism, and you don't know any of those things, and so you're misinforming millions and millions of people because you're a failed fucking comedian that decided to try out politics to make up for the fact that you're a failed comedian and created a brand for yourself by following the approved conservative talking points where they lifted you up as the classical liberal that's going to save us all, even though you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. So I might be insane, Constantine, but at least I know what I'm talking about, and at least I understand the left, and so I'm way ahead of you, bro. You know, sometimes people say, because they compare me to these types of people, and they're like, well, Carlin, you know, they have a much bigger platform than you do, and aren't you a failure by comparison? And I'm like, am I a failure by comparison, though? Because I might have a smaller platform. I might not have as many people watching my live streams. I might not have as many followers on Twitter, but I teach more people about the radical revolutionary far left in reality every single week than Konstantin Kissin does. I don't care if he has millions of views a week. If this is what Konstantin Kissin is saying to his audience, he is teaching no one. His audience doesn't understand anything. I have an audience full of people who can go out and explain what the left is doing in the real world. So he might have a lot more audience members, but my audience actually knows stuff, and my audience is actually hinged into reality. So who is more successful? My goal is to teach as many people as possible what the radical revolutionary far left is doing in America. That's been my goal for years. We're getting to that when I'm good and ready. Konstantin Kissin does this shit on the internet, pretending to be the intellectual, insulting anyone whose work he can't grapple with, because he certainly can't grapple with mine. That's why he calls me crazy. Konstantin Kissin cannot intellectually argue my work. James Lindsay cannot intellectually argue my work. Colin Wright cannot intellectually argue my work. No one on the internet who likes to call me names and make fun of my looks can intellectually argue my work at all, because I'm right. They're wrong. I have all the evidence. All they have is these platitudes and their pats on the back. Oh, yes, darling. Yes, stunning and brave, Constantine, stunning and brave. Misinforming over 100,000 people with your bullshit. Stunning and brave, bro. Based on my standards, I'm more successful than he is. People don't get that. I just don't know what to tell you. Some more gossip before we get into the stream for today. James Lindsay and Michael O'Fallon are having a conniption over moving in to the age of Aquarius. Now, you guys know that I'm very well practiced in the art of woo. You guys know that I do actually understand astrology on, not a super advanced level, but I know more than the average person. You guys know that I do actually buy into this stuff. You guys know that I used to have a psychic and astrologer on my channel once a week for years. I'm not opposed to astrology. However, I also don't force astrology on other people. It's kind of like, if you're into it, you're into it. If you're not, that's cool too. And I know that some people really disagree with it. I don't really care. I'm not going to argue with you. You're allowed to believe whatever you want. But I find it curious that James Lindsay and Michael O'Fallon are having an absolute fucking conniption over the fact that the New York Post wrote an article about Pluto moving into Aquarius, which this is like, if you guys have heard that song, the song from the 70s, The Age of Aquarius, it's like, I'm not going to sing it or anything, like the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. That's what this is about. So what is happening is basically Pluto is moving into Aquarius, and this is kind of an interesting time because and I'm not going to go into, if you don't understand what that means, like just flow with me for a second. The last time this happened, the last time that Pluto moved into Aquarius, the American Revolution happened. And so what astrologers are saying is this is going to be a time of like great upheaval and change. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I have no idea. But I do know that the last time that Pluto was in Aquarius, that was the American Revolution. And so I don't know if you believe this stuff, it could be interesting. But what I think is even more funny about this is the absolute conniption that James and his funder, Michael O'Fallon is the guy that funds New Discourses. They're losing their shit over this. Check this out. Michael O'Fallon posted this. Just as the United States has experienced destabilization through provocations related to identity politics, mid-level violence, and the polarization of the woke left and the woke right, we are now facing new provocations. Medium and long-range missiles fired into Russia threaten to destabilize the world further and push us to the brink of nuclear war. We are witnessing the conflict between Israel and Iran, along with its neighboring countries. Additionally, there is ongoing war in Ukraine involving Russia and NATO. China is asserting threats regarding Taiwan. Moreover, Americans appear to have been misled into believing that a civil war is necessary in the United States. All of these developments seem designed to lead us into a period of peace and order, but rather into war and chaos. Now, the situation intensifies with the approaching date of today, November 19th, 2024, the day that the United Nations cult commemorates as the Age of Aquarius. Indeed, various organizations, including the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, along with the numerous roundtable groups that influence global direction, are involved in very cult-like behaviors centered around numerology, astrology, and a variety of Hermetic and Gnostic beliefs. This will likely impact individuals personally through their fascination with theosophical astrology. Hang on one second. Hang on. I just like, it is amazing to me that they think that this is some United Nations conspiracy theory. Guys, can we have a moment of clarity? Can we have a moment of clarity, please? People have been talking about the Age of Aquarius since the 60s. 1969.
This is the dawning of
that's enough of that. That's enough of that. But I play that song to point out that the age of Aquarius has this idea of us moving into the age of Aquarius has been around for a long ass time. And now the moment is finally here. We are now actually moving in today to the age of Aquarius. And whether that's going to lead to great global upheaval and revolution or not, and whether you believe in this stuff or not, my bigger point is this is not some UN Gnostic WEF cult conspiracy theory. This is not some sort of thing where, guys, there's war and destabilization around the world. And now the New York Post is writing articles about us moving into the age of Aquarius. And that's what James Lindsay and Michael O'Fallon are saying. They are literally like, guys, the reason they're pushing all this messaging about us moving into the age of Aquarius because this is a UN, Oprah, Gnostic, WEF, worldwide conspiracy to convince you that there is about to be dramatic revolution. This is something that's been talked about literally forever. Let's just go back. Now, the situation intensifies with the approaching date of November 19th, 2024, the day the United Nations call commemorates the Age of Aquarius. Indeed, various organizations, including the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, along with numerous roundtable groups that influence global direction, are involved in cult-like behaviors centered around numerology, astrology, and a variety of Hermetic and Gnostic beliefs. This will likely impact individuals personally through their fascination with theosophical astrology. Michael, James, this is unhinged behavior. This is not something that we take seriously. I believe in astrology. Legitimately. I legitimately believe in astrology. And I'm not even that excited about moving into the age of Aquarius. We don't know what this is going to mean. It might be good, it might be bad, it might be nothing at all. But like, this is correct. This is correct. You guys need to go outside and touch grass. Because just because the New York Post wrote an article about moving into the age of Aquarius does not mean that this is a UN, WEF, Gnostic, theosophical, worldwide conspiracy theory to message something to an audience, because the age of Aquarius is literally something that's been messaged for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades in popular culture. Seriously, Jennifer, can you believe this shit? Jennifer is a witch who also understands astrology, and even she's like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you assholes? Yeah, sit down. Like you are in detention. Your privileges have been taken away. This is not a serious thing. Anyway, I just had to show that to you guys. I just had to show it to you. Tayton, they both need to take a break and go do something. Ain't that the truth? Guys, if you would like to support the work I'm doing, you can help send in a super chat. $25 super chats gets me to my goal today. I would really, really appreciate it. You guys help me to keep doing this streaming thing that I do by sending in super chats, which does support the show I'm doing, and I really do appreciate it. Can I get one more piece of gossip before we move on? One more? I have to talk about this because this happened before I went on vacation. And this happened before I went on vacation. It was like the night before, and it was the greatest gift I've ever been given. And I haven't talked about it yet because I was on vacation, but we have to talk about it. And then we're going to get into communists in high school. I promise. Who knows stepmom Deb Philman? Guys, this is one of our greatest victories in the war against James Lindsay and in the war against the insane people on the internet in general. Who remembers stepmom Deb Philman? 1 in the chat if you remember stepmom Deb Philman. 2 in the chat if you have no idea who the fuck this woman is. If you have no idea who the fuck this woman is, just relax. Yup. Carlin Curse. Yup. Little Debbie quit. Yup. So you might remember stepmom Deb Philman from the years and years and years that this bitch has been trying to make my life difficult on the internet. You might remember stepmom Deb Philman from when she joined my locals community like 4 years ago, specifically to try to poach my members, and then had a massive conniption when I called her out on her bullshit. Renan says, risky listening at work. Well, I appreciate you putting up the risk, Renan. Thank you for the $10 super chat. You guys might remember stepmom Deb Philman from a couple weeks ago when we kind of sort of invaded her chat when she had James Lindsay live on her channel, and I could not resist because it was just too perfect. It was Deb Philman, who is just one of the just super cunts of the internet, and James Lindsay on the same live stream, and I was like, oh, we're crashing that chat. That's not even a hard one to figure out. Well, we broke Deb. We won. Deb lost. Based Judy for the win. We're going to talk about that. Because stepmom Deb Philman, because of us, has quit YouTube. And I found this out like literally hours before I was going on vacation, so I didn't have time to talk about it, but I'm talking about it now because we're going to take our victory lap. Deb posted a video saying, suppress, not stress, saying goodbye to YouTube. Because Deb is convinced that YouTube is suppressing her content. It's not that Deb Philman's content isn't good. It's not that Deb Philman isn't like an epic bitch that no one actually wants to listen to. It's that YouTube is suppressing her, and that's why she can't get any people to watch her channel. So stepmom announced in this video that she was quitting YouTube. And so then I started watching this video the day before I went on vacation, and I found out that in this video, one of the reasons that Deb said she was quitting YouTube was because she tried to report us to YouTube for generating harassment because we went into her chat and asked James Lindsay questions he didn't want to be asked. And she reported us to YouTube for that. And when YouTube told her to pound sand, Deb was like, I will not be on a platform that allows that type of harassment. So she admitted basically that she's quitting because of us, even though we were the nicest people in the chat. People can go back and watch the video. I have the video archived on my channel. Deb wanted YouTube to take down the video because Deb is a raging cunt. But we won, she lost. We were so nice. We didn't argue with anyone. They were insulting us the whole time. We just asked our questions, and we didn't insult anyone. We didn't debate anyone. Everyone was on their very best behavior. And then Deb admitted, after I started posting this stuff, Dragontail, we have to give Dragontail like some credit here, because Dragontail started taunting Deb on Twitter. Dragontail is also known as Dragon Balls in the chat because I kept messing up his name, so he changed his name to Dragon Balls over here. But he goes by Dragontail on Twitter. And so Dragontail started taunting Deb, and Deb told him to fuck off. But then Deb admitted that it was our live stream that prompted her to quit in the first place. Look, she's got all these screen caps. She says, this piece of human garbage says I'm part of a cancel mob. This is how he has fun with his psychopathic Hitler-loving friends. You decide who's the cancel mob. This is the level of violation YouTube allows to be monetized. And she's got all sorts of clips of me that she sent to YouTube to try to get me canceled. And it didn't work. And really, at the end of the day, guys, at the end of the day, and I'll play that clip in a second, we always have to remember that this is all because of our based Judy. Of the knitter that won't quit, the knitter that doesn't take shit from anyone. And this was just the moment of the entire stream where, for the briefest of moments, Deb displayed Judy's chat on her stream by accident because Judy was so smart. She put the name of Deb's channel, The Reason I Learn, in the chat, so Deb didn't read it before she displayed it. And then once Deb saw that Judy actually said Carlin is a much better teacher than James, follow Dr. Carlin B. If you want to really learn, she is the reason I learn. Deb lost her shit, and we won. And Deb lost, and now she has quit YouTube. And it was because of us. It was because of us. And I have to say, guys, I've never been so proud. And can I just show you, can we just relive the moment where Base Judy's chat got displayed? Because Deb was particularly pissed about this video. This is the moment that Base Judy's chat got displayed. And this is the moment that Deb reported to YouTube to try to get us canceled. Watch this.
There's not much to be said. I think you pretty well know.
All right, go
that.
spam the chat, go spam the chat, go spam the chat, grand finale, go spam the chat, grand finale, go.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So, Poe Movies, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, thanks, James and Deb, for doing this. It reinforces our education choices for our kids and how we continue to encourage building our channel. They have a YouTube channel, Poe Movies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, and the last thing I'll say, because I know you take a lot of heat on X and other places for, intellectualizing all of this. I find it very valuable because, as I said, I'm somewhere in that middle where I'm there on the ground dealing with the output of this nonsense in our children and other people's children. And I really want parents or even anybody watching this to understand that everything that James talks about, everything that you've read and you're trying to translate.
MVP, that's one, not
people,
VIP. MVP.
So that we
Judy
don't
is
have
the
to read
MVP.
it.
Judy was the MVP. And Deb was so pissed about that she decided to stop doing YouTube entirely. And we did that shit. And I have to say, guys, this is our greatest victory since James Lindsay flipped off bot. Does everyone remember James Lindsay flipping off bot? Oh, wait, you forget? Oh, wow, I have a video. Hang on.
What does I don't know. This might be coded, but I'm not sure. What does a Gnostic sex cult have to do with the far left's goal? This guy named Bot is going off about this Gnostic sex cult. What that?
And so we're just not going to answer that question.
Okay, so that's I figured that. So we're just okay. That's why I figured that. Yeah.
We now have another great victory to add to our arsenal. And I have to say, it's curious because Deb has been making some other changes, and I'm just curious about some things, and we're going to get into the main content of the show, I promise. But I feel like I've earned this victory. Deb has been making some other changes in that she's no longer using her real name. Deb's Twitter account used to be Deb_Filman. And now Deb is going completely by the Owl of Athena, and she has changed her Twitter handle to Owl_ELC, which is curious. It kind of seems as though Deb is trying to go back to being completely anonymous on the internet. She's also got an Israeli flag in her bio, but that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that's curious because, listen, I'm old enough to remember a time when Deb had a website that had a program called The Reason We Parent. And something curious has happened here as well, because I personally think, guys, that one of the stupidest things that any single person can do on the internet is to rely on a website that is run by an individual rather than by like a credible established company to run your brand. That's a stupid decision. Now, a couple years ago, Deb made the decision to leave Substack and to launch her program, The Reason We Parent, on this separate website that was run by one specific individual that might be a queen that lives in England. And when Deb did this, and the reason Deb did this is the Queen from England hates me and has been trying to make my life difficult for 3 fucking years. So Deb and the Queen from England bonded over the fact that they hate me. And Deb decided to move all of her content to the Queen's proprietary website that he was the only one that ran by himself with no company, but Deb paid him to run her website and do all her branding for her. And one of the things they launched together was this program, The Reason We Parent. And so Deb, actually, you can go back on Deb's Twitter account and find this. And you can see the website that Deb launched this on is a website called Woke Screen. Woke Screen is a website that is owned and operated by the Queen from England that never really amounted to much of anything. Well, something funny happened about a month ago. Something funny happened. Woke Screen went completely and totally offline. The website just disappeared entirely. And I remember when this happened, I kind of and this was where Deb was hosting all of her content. And I kind of thought when this happened, I remember that there was a post saying, our website is temporarily down. It'll be back momentarily. Well, it's not been back momentarily. It's been down for a month. Website completely disappeared. And at the same time, the Queen from England, the person who doxed my college boyfriend in order to smear me as revenge for the fact that I refused to leave my husband for him, the person that spread all sorts of rumors about me on the internet that were not true, the person that worked with Deb and a couple other people to destroy my reputation, to try to undermine everything that I'm doing, he seems to have completely left the internet. His account is gone. Every tweet he's ever sent from that account is gone. His website is gone. This was his platform that Deb was hosting all of her stuff on. And now this Reason We Parent program is gone too. And if we look in Deb's bio, there is no mention of it anywhere. So is it possible that in addition to completely quitting YouTube because of us, is it possible that the person that Deb Philman bonded with over a mutual hatred of me because I called them both out on their bullshit, is it possible that the person that I said was unfucking trustworthy over 3 years ago, is it possible that I said the person that completely shit the bed on me when we were supposed to launch a business together and then he lost his fucking shit and had a psychological snap and started harassing me and doxing my loved ones and doing all sorts of bullshit on the internet that lasted for years and years and years and years and years? Is it possible that that person then turned around and screwed Deb Philman over? Is it possible that the same thing that happened between me and him, in terms of me telling him something he didn't want to hear and that causing a massive psychological breakdown, is it possible that Deb Philman did exactly the same fucking thing and that's why the website's no longer online and that's why his profile is deleted? Because he has no one else on the internet, so that was his last real connection to anything, and now that that's gone, he's gone too. You know, Deb, I wish I could say I felt sorry for you. I wish I could say that, you know, Deb, I've been there because he fucked me over too. And maybe, you know, in another universe, in another timeline, maybe Deb and I could have had a bonding moment, and maybe Deb and I could have had a reconnection. Oh, he fucked you over? Oh, he fucked me over too. But no, that's not going to happen. You want to know why? Because karma caught up with this evil cunt, and I'm not sorry about it. I tried to warn everyone. They all turned against me. I said this was going to happen from the very fucking beginning. And Deb, I wasn't the one stupid enough to trust a fucking narcissist with all of my proprietary content when you could have just used Substack, girl. Like, it really wasn't that hard. So, sorry, Deb. Sorry total destruction. We won, you lost, go fuck yourself. And that's what happens when people fuck with me on the internet. It might not happen right away, but it will always happen eventually. So I have proven this over and over and over again. I have survived for years in this game by myself, doing my own thing in my way without relying on any organizations to pay me money, through small donations that I get from my audience, because my work's better than anyone else and I don't take shit from anyone. And even when people come after me on the internet, they will always get theirs eventually. It is just a matter of time, and I've proven it again. And Deb Philman can go fuck herself. This was a total victory for me. I am vindicated. There has never been anyone more goated than me. I'm sorry. It's true. It's true. Let that be a lesson to all of you. Now, guys, let's get into the main content for today. Again, we are going to be watching this communist in high school video. We started watching this yesterday. We're going to finish it up today. And we are listening to real high school communists talk about the fact that they were recruited to communism in high school. And if you want to support the work I'm doing, you can head over to my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Sign up for a membership of $8 a month, $80 a year. I would love some feedback from you guys, because just this morning I posted a video clip on the Substack, and apparently Substack, when I post video clips, is also allowing me to post that as an episode of my Actively Unwoke podcast. And I don't know if this is a good thing or not, because it's not an official podcast episode. It's just kind of a video clip that posts an audio version to the podcast. But maybe that could be a good thing for people who are just trying to catch up, and maybe they just want an audio version of the podcast. So I'm going to try doing this a couple more times. These are just like really short video clips that I'm taking from the streams. I'm trying to post them on Substack as well as on YouTube, so people can find all this information in one place, have a place where they can send people to watch it. So maybe not right this second, but I would love some feedback from people. Do you guys want these clips also posted to the podcast link? Is that going to be helpful for you guys? Because I feel like it could be helpful. I didn't even know we had this feature on Substack until today. But definitely let me know if you think this is going to be a helpful thing. If it's not a helpful thing, I want to know that too, because I can post videos in a different way where it doesn't do this. But I feel like it could be helpful. And then we can do official episodes of the podcast, and we can also do these clips, and it'll just be more content that's coming through. Let me know. I would really love some feedback on it, but definitely you can find my work over there. And I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. You allow me to do what I do, and I can't thank you enough for it. So let's dig into our content for today. Let me get my sound set up. And we are continuing where we left off yesterday. I need everyone to mount the like button for me. And let's just keep going.
Comrades became radical, rather.
Oh, shoot.
Like seeing all of the billionaires.
Hang on, we're rewinding that a little bit.
Something's wrong with it, and especially you can see it's going down. It's
Why is it
11th grade, and I'm from
researched socialist ideas, and me and Matt started our own little party and tried recruiting people online. But one of the members, after like a couple weeks, let us know about the RCA, and I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. So that's when
Why do
I
I
became
feel like
a
it
leader.
skipped ahead?
Even the Democrats are guided purely by profits. So that led
we
me
heard this already.
like
Hang
a couple
on.
weeks.
We heard
especially
that.
like with the war in
Okay.
Ukraine, the genocide in Gaza, and with the Palestinians and stuff like that. I don't know why it's like this. I became a communist because obviously capitalism was the one that was causing it.
I'm Rand Hintz. I'm from Fairmont, West Virginia. I am 15 years old. Like seeing all of the billionaires up at the top, the ruling class, the capitalist class, while the working class, and I see homeless people on the streets. It's such wasted potential. And that's why I just started drifting towards communism even more.
There's no one reason these comrades became radicalized, but rather capitalism as a whole that has produced a generation looking for a way forward and finding communism. This isn't just our comrades, but the youth that our comrades are interacting with around them.
Around when I joined, we went to the college that I went to, and we went into the student union, and there was this little elevated platform that me and another comrade sit on and gave agitational speeches. And that day we didn't realize that there was just masses of middle schoolers there. They were coming for a field trip, I think, and they They were just like sitting in the student union, and we went up there and we gave agitational speeches. And the reaction from these
high schoolers are talking about giving agitational speeches to middle schoolers. Hang on. Can we start that again, please? High school communists are talking about going and recruiting middle school communists.
And finding communism. This isn't just our comrades, but the youth that our comrades are interacting with around them.
Around when I joined, we went to the college that I went to, and we like went into the student union, and there was this little elevated platform that me and another comrade sit on and gave agitational speeches. And that day we didn't realize that there was just masses of middle schoolers there. They were coming for a field trip, I think, and they were just like sitting in the student union, and we went up there and we gave agitational speeches. And the reaction from these middle schoolers was insane. They were so happy to hear us talking about Palestine. They wanted to buy papers. They wanted to get in contact with us. They wanted to join. It's that kind of reaction that we're getting from young people. We had another...
When they say they wanted to buy papers, what they're talking about is that the Revolutionary Communists of America has these newspapers that they hand out. It's literally called The Communist. Let me see if I can actually find it. Let me see if I can find a copy of it for you to look at real quick on their website. But they actually have like newspapers. Yes, I want to leave YouTube. Yes. That, yeah. So if you go to, it's communistusa.org. And if you go to News and Analysis, our newspaper, one of the things that you get when you sign up as a member of the Revolutionary Communists of America is they sent you these newspapers that you can then hand out to other people. And so what we're hearing right now, no, it's not a leaflet. It's a full newspaper. It's a full newspaper. It's not like a piece of paper. It's a full newspaper that they produce. And by the way, these guys are entirely self-funded. This is not Soros funded. They are entirely self-funded. The Revolutionary Communists of America charge 1 day's wages per month of dues from all their members in order to fund what they're doing. They also take private donations. This is an organization that's been around since 1992. It used to be called the International Marxist Tendency. They just changed their name last year to the Revolutionary Communist International. This is the American branch of that. And so they fund all this stuff with membership dues. So when members pay in, they get a box of stickers and they get a box of newspapers every single month to go out and recruit people. And what we're hearing right now is these high school members of the Revolutionary Communists of America are going to middle schools and handing out this newspaper, and the middle schoolers are excited to have it. That's pretty dystopian, if you ask me. That's pretty dystopian.
Experience at UCI of something similar, where we were holding a rally and we were giving agitational speeches, and we also didn't realize that there was a field trip of high schoolers there, and they were cheering us on when we were giving speeches. We gave them stickers, we got contacts, and we talked to them about the system that they're living in. Like these kind of odd interactions that we weren't expecting yielded a lot of results and are pushing these ideas towards these young people who feel so despairing in this society. It's something that gives them hope and something that puts it right in front of them. My sister, she just...
So communists are not only going directly into high schools to recruit, which is what this entire video is about, they're also using the high schoolers to go into the middle schools and recruit. Don't tell me woke is dead. Don't tell me we beat the left. Don't tell me the right is winning just because Donald Trump won the presidency. Because the Republicans, the GOP, they're playing the short game. These guys have been playing the long game for a century. Are there any conservative groups that actually do this? Turning Point USA doesn't do this. Turning Point USA has college campus chapters that throw parties occasionally. They have a big conference where they all go and get together and drink. Or is Turning Point USA actually going into high schools? Is Turning Point USA going into middle schools? Is Turning Point USA trying to get at kids earlier? Why is it that the Revolutionary Communists of America can do this and Turning Point USA with $40 million a year can't? The Revolutionary Communists of America don't have a ton of cash. They have their membership dues, they have the voluntary donations they get, but we're not talking about $40 million a year like Turning Point USA has. We're not talking about anything close to that. Maybe they have, I think the number I saw was they've got like a couple $1 million in their like international fund or whatever. Maybe I might be making that up. That's just a number that pops out in my head. So they have some money because they've been around a long time and they've collected a lot of membership dues. And this is the type of stuff they do with the money. They make that newspaper. They make stickers that they send out. They're constantly handing this stuff out to recruit new members. They do stickering campaigns. If you've ever seen the "Are You a Communist" stickering campaign where it's Karl Marx pointing at you and the sticker just says "Are you a communist?" with a QR code, you'll see these things a lot on college campuses. You'll see these things a lot in cities. They just go out and they slap these stickers up everywhere. It's a very big recruiting mechanism for them. They pay for all that stuff with their membership dues. Why aren't conservative organizations doing anything that's like this? If they can do this, why can't the right? Because the right doesn't care. That's why.
Turned 15, she doesn't know what she wants to do. Like, she sees our mother who comes home with cuts and bruises because they want her to work harder, they want her to work faster. She sees what working, like 45 years straight has done to our dad. She's really struggled with just despair like I was. And I feel such a responsibility to bring these ideas to her and to make sure she knows that she can have a handle on her future, that these problems ultimately come down to the rich, they come down to the capitalist class. But she really struggles with seeing that there can be something else. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. They see the system that we're living in as kind of the end all be all. And she will understand, like, as she gets older, because I will be right there. I had a lot of good chances to talk to my coworkers. And one of them, like, we would talk about the Russian Revolution, we would talk about the German Revolution, the changing of consciousness of revolutions. We would talk about like dialectical materialism. Those were very important conversations to be able to convey the ideas.
We talked about this yesterday, but one of the messages we continue to hear from the conservative punditry class is people on the left don't really know what they're fighting for. We are hearing someone that was a communist in high school explain with a very high degree of accuracy what they believe, using the specific words that they believe, where they were talking about teaching that to other people, making sure other people understand. I mean, again, don't ever tell me the left doesn't know what they're fighting for. The left has a very clear vision of what they're fighting for. And not only do they have that clear vision, they go out and they teach that vision to other people. So they're saying to these high school kids and these middle school kids, they're saying there is a different world that is available to you, and here's what that world could look like. And what they're doing is they're allowing these kids who think that the entire world is against them. By the way, we don't attack kids on this channel ever. Kids are victims of this cult. They've been indoctrinated into this cult since they were young. We do not attack kids ever. This is not their fault. But these kids, because they've been put in the public schools, because they've been learning about this since they've been 5 years old in various methods where it's dripped out through all of their curriculum, these kids believe the entire world is against them. These kids believe the entire system the United States is built on is fundamentally working against them. And then you have these people that are coming in that are saying, guys, it doesn't have to be this way. A better world is possible where you can have whatever you want, and that where everyone can have whatever they want, and where it's all fair and there's not these massive disparities, and we all have access to everything we need. And here's what that looks like, and that looks like communism. And they're the only ones bringing that positive, forward-looking message. And of course, we know it doesn't turn out positively. I am vehemently anti-communist. I'm vehemently anti-socialist. We know this doesn't turn out positively. But is there any other message that's being given to these kids? The message being given to them is you will live in an oppressive world that will always work against you, or we all work together to get to the communist utopia, which is going to be much fairer and better for everyone. There is no alternative right-wing message that's being presented to them saying, there is a world of opportunity that's available to you within the current system, and here's how you get there, and here's how you generate wealth, and here's how you build success, and here's how you go out and get a good job or go out and create the type of career you want. It has never been easier to make money. It really hasn't. I know that that doesn't seem that way to a lot of people, but we have so many free tools that are available to us. If people are just shown how to do it and how to interact with these tools, they can generate wealth. It's just, it's the way it is. If they want to work for it, if they don't want to work for it, that's another thing, because you do have to work for it. But who's going in and presenting these kids saying, there's so much opportunity. There's way more opportunity now than there was 20 years ago. There's way more opportunity than there was 40 years ago. It might not always seem like it, but there is path to success here where you can build an amazing life. You can have a family. You can have kids. You can have a salary that can sustain you. Who's going in and putting that message out there? The message that these kids are receiving is the entire world is against them and no one will help them and no one will support them, and the only alternative is communism, and it's the communists that are recruiting them in high school and middle school telling them that. Do you guys wonder why they're joining the left? It's not because they're dumb. It's not because they're mentally ill. It's not because they just are avoiding all responsibility. That's what James Lindsay will tell you. It's not any of those things. They've been taught that the entire world is against them, and this is the only alternative that's been presented to them as an option because the conservative right has completely abdicated all responsibility in creating a positive, forward-looking vision that is being effectively communicated to young people in America. That is why they're turning to the left, guys. That's why. Because they do not see another option, because effectively no other option has ever been presented to them. And you just expect them to go out and find it? That's not the way the world works. When you have conservatives like insulting these kids, calling them crazy, saying they don't want any responsibility, calling them lazy, like making fun of their hair, making fun of their clothes, making fun of their looks, do you really think they're going to come to you for alternatives? This is why I get so fed up with the right. You're fat, you're ugly, you're mentally ill, you have stupid hair. Owning the libs, bro. High five, owning the libs today. Do you really think they're going to come to you for alternatives? If what you're giving them is, you're fat, you're ugly, you're mentally ill, you're stupid, you're lazy. No, they're going to go to the communists who are super nice to them, who are saying there is a better world and you can be exactly who you are. And you don't have to, and if you work with us, we can build this better world together because we want you to be successful. We want you to be happy. We want you to have what you need. Of course, that's all bullshit. But those are the options they're being given, guys. What do you expect them to do?
And I remember just like asking him, what's your ideal economic system? And he just told me it's communism. He just kind of laid it out. And I've met a lot and I've had a lot of conversations with people where they will just tell you that communism is their ideal system, or that communism is what they believe in. But they don't see a way that that's possible. And from like explaining to him what the party is doing and giving him pamphlets and like things for him to read, like selling him a paper, you know, you can kind of see the gears start to turn.
One of my friends who I was talking to him about socialism, and I thought, you know, I don't know if this is ever going to happen. And they told me, oh no, you've convinced me. You've convinced me that socialism is necessary. And so I thought, okay, if I can convince one person.
By the way, this is why the Groypers are necessary. Because the Groypers and Nick Fuentes, for their faults, and they do have faults, the Groypers and Nick Fuentes are reaching young people in high school. And we know they're reaching young people in high school because A, some of the Groypers are still in high school. The Groypers who aren't still in high school, many of them have been watching Nick since they were in high school. And we know from Nick's Your Body, My Choice stunt, which I'm sorry is just one of the most epic trolls I've ever seen. Like, shout out Nick Fuentes. That the meltdown that the left has had over the Your Body, My Choice thing has just been epic and glorious. And I'm sorry, There is no better video in the world than that crazy woman who showed up at Nick Fuentes' door, and Nick opened it and pepper sprayed her and kicked her down the steps and took her phone and slammed the door. And then it's just like that image of Nick Fuentes looking down on the phone like a mafia boss. He's never looked so powerful and intimidating in his life. Nick has fully embraced his Italian nature. If you haven't seen that video, you are missing out. You have got to find it. It is so great. I saw it while I was out at a bar in California and I almost died. I thought it was so awesome. But the point I want to make is that your body, my choice thing has made its way into high schools. Have you guys seen the clips of this? Nick's troll has made its way into high schools to the point where high schools are enacting policies against people saying your body, my choice. That's all Nick Fuentes, and that's all the Groypers, and they are the only ones on the right who are reaching young people. And the conservatives want to excommunicate them, they want to vilify them, they want to poo-poo everything they're doing. That is the only movement on the right that is reaching young people today. And that is what we need to have to compete with this. And so you might not agree with Nick Fuentes and the Groypers on everything. I don't agree with Nick Fuentes and the Groypers on everything. But the fact of the matter is Nick has found some sweet spot where he knows how to reach young people and mobilize young people and get young people excited. And if it takes people finding Nick Fuentes and his humor and his ideas and maybe being drawn to that pulls them away from the communist left. And by the way, Nick Fuentes teaches people to look good, to dress well, to show up and be a professional and be appropriate. He's not a hateful person. He teaches young men to wear suits, to be proud about their appearance. Like, this is actually a good thing. This is actually a positive influence. Nick Fuentes has created more young Catholics than probably anyone else in the country. Is there anyone else that has recruited more young men to the Catholic Church? Like, legitimately, they go through RCIA. They actually get confirmed in the Catholic Church. They go to church. They go to confession. They try. I think they really do try to live by that lifestyle. They want to grow up. They want to have families. They want to get married. They want to stay virgins until they're married. This is all coming from Nick Fuentes. This is the antidote to communists recruiting people in high school, and the conservative right has tried to vilify them and block them off into a corner so that no one interacts with them. This is why the left wins and the right loses. But thank God for Nick Fuentes and thank God for the Groypers, because at least it's some alternative to this bullshit.
I can definitely convince others. And that really encouraged me to find a party, to join an organization where I could learn more and be able to convince more people. A lot of it started with healthcare, because that was really important to them in the medical industry, that people could easily lose their health insurance and then they could be kicked out of a hospital. They experienced that themselves. Housing, there's millions of empty houses across America, but there's also hundreds of thousands of homeless people. That's pretty insane. And also immense wealth inequality. Right? That's something that basically everyone knows about now, that the statistics keep on going higher, billionaires keep on getting richer and richer, right? And so I just talked about these factors all the time, and after talking about them a lot, eventually it gets to the point where there's so many things that are wrong with capitalism that you can't just fix one thing, because there's so many. It's like trying to fix a boat that's falling apart by putting in a few more screws. The whole frame, the whole structure is broken. You can't fix it with just a few screws. That's it. That I think that's really talking about every instance of the decay of capitalism. It really points to how it's not just one factor in one industry or one social issue. There's a whole lot of them that are affected by capitalism. And so the only way to really tackle those issues definitively with the most effectiveness is to tackle the root cause, and that's the capitalist system.
I turned around to my classmates and I was like, the reason why I'm a communist is New York City has the most amount of billionaires anywhere in the world, I believe. And the Bronx has the poorest congressional district in the entire country. we're living in a world where you see the homeless strung about on the street. You're seeing such a just desperate situation. And I turned around and I saw all my classmates nodding along.
There's not a lot of, I guess I would say, communist sentiment. But once we start talking about some of the problems that we see here, both locally and nationwide, my friends and students in general that I just talked to see themselves sympathizing with our goal and see themselves actually agreeing with a lot of what we say. Just the fact that having those conversations creates such a shift in people's minds, it's great to see. And even if they don't right away join the organization, just the fact that they are now aware and sympathetic to our goals, if things get worse in the future and something pushes them, like something is the final straw for them, and they finally get pushed to get organized, they already have that baseline of knowledge and contacts that it's really inspiring to have those conversations.
These young comrades are not just seeing problems, but understanding that history teaches us that consciousness can change and our role in pushing that change. They see the need for revolution. These are serious communists, no matter how old they are. It's ironic that we are told through popular media not to take the youth seriously because the ruling class takes every opportunity to win them over. Andrew, a current high school student, knows this from experience.
We have military recruiters come almost every other day. That's where it starts, is they find young, impressionable people in a low-income area, a relatively low-income area. And I would say ever since elementary, we've been sort of programmed through education to look up to the military, to honor them. And so these recruiters that come into mainly low-income areas, finding people and kids that won't be able to pay for college, they won't be able to pay for services like healthcare. And so they lure them in with promises of these free services. You get free school, free services, provided to you. And then the military gets those people, those impressionable people, to do their bidding once they're in the military, to fight in those imperialist wars, these conflicts. That's where they get their soldiers.
To go head to head with the capitalist class, we will have to build a formidable force, a professional organization of revolutionaries. Contrary to what some think, this will not deter the youth. Instead of the ironic nihilism and gallows humor doomerism, the revolutionary youth are magnetized to a serious professional organization. Here are the reasons that the high schoolers that we interviewed said that they joined.
I joined right after my first meeting, and it was going to these meetings, seeing how well that they were run, seeing how serious these people were, how much effort that they put in, having them excitedly talking about the theory that they're reading, having them make connections between what's going on and what they were reading.
I have consistently said, when I'm asked, what can we do to fight the left? What can we do to fight the left? I've consistently said that what people need to do to fight the left is to sit down and listen to the left, the real left, not the conservative bullshit propaganda, the real left, to learn as much about the left as possible, to learn how to teach other people clearly and succinctly what the left is saying, what the left believes, what they're doing, in their words, not, again, in the words of the conservative punditry, and then to go out and teach as many people as possible. That's my answer. When I tell people that the best thing that you can do to fight the left is to take the time to sit down and listen to them and learn as much about them as you possibly can, the answer I almost always get from people is, no, but what do we do? No, but what do we do, Carl? What do we do? What do we do? What you do is you sit your ass down and learn. When you sit down and learn, when you get to the point of expertise on the topic, you will know why you needed to sit down and learn. Because there is a moment when you become immersed in socialism where you start seeing it show up everywhere. And it doesn't happen right away. You have to learn the language. You have to become fluent in their ideas. You have to see the world in the way that they see it, not in the way that the bullshit conservative punditry class sees it. And once you do that, you understand the problem on a whole new level, and that's when you can go out and inform other people what's going on. But if you do not do that learning step, you will never be effective. It doesn't matter what tactic I give you, you will never be effective. Do you want to know why Donald Trump will not be effective in beating the left? Because he thinks that abolishing the Department of Education is all that's required. He thinks abolishing DEI in the federal government is all that's required. And it's so much bigger than that. The problem is so much more so much more immense than that. But he doesn't know that because no one on his team has ever taken the time to listen to the left and to understand them in the way that they understand themselves. This is why the right will always lose, because they refuse to do the work of basic education, of basic research. All they know how to do is own the libs and dunk on the libs, bro. The reason I bring this up is, what did we just hear this high school student saying? This high school student, who is a communist in high school, got recruited by the Revolutionary Communists of America to go to a communist meeting where she was perfectly willing to sit there and learn about communism in exactly the same way that I try to get people to learn about the left. The left uses education to radicalize people. The only antidote to that is to become educated on what they are saying and what they mean when they say it. There's nothing else that's going to solve this problem. If your enemy is using education to recruit people to their cause, and they're doing it highly effectively to the point where they're getting high schoolers to go to their well-organized, well-run meetings where their high schoolers are being brought along and taught with all this communist theory. They're being taught about the Russian Revolution. They're being taught about the glorious utopia that they're going to be living in. They will sit there and read Marx and Engels and all the other books. They will sit there and read the philosophy. They will have whole book clubs doing this stuff. They will watch the videos. They will not only watch the videos, they'll spend time creating the videos. Who do you think is creating all these videos for the Revolutionary Communists of America? It's a team of volunteers. The left will do all of this, and they won't bat an eyelash. And not only will they do all of it, they will love every second of doing it. The right refuses to do this basic step, and that is why they will lose. Thanks, Matt B, for the super chat. Conservatives know they lost, so they give us the pundits as a way to distract us from the uncomfortable truth. That might be true, Mac B. That might be very true. But I just want people to listen to this again, because this is a high school student talking about how they're so excited to go to these meetings and to learn.
The revolutionary youth are magnetized to a serious professional organization. Here are the reasons that the high schoolers that we interviewed said that they joined.
I joined right after my first meeting, and it was going to these meetings, seeing how well that they were run, seeing how serious these people were, how much effort that they put in, having them excitedly talking about the theory that they're reading, having them make connections between what's going on and what they were reading.
Before I joined the RCA, I would say I was...
Hang on, I just want to acknowledge Sam's contribution here. Sam says, there was actually the one time... Oh, hang on, there was another chat before that. Sam says, I can vouch for this. Sam is talking about the fact that once you sit down and learn what socialists are saying, when you reach a certain level of expertise, you will start seeing it everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Sam says, I can vouch for this. I won't go into super detail to avoid doxing myself, but I was reading course material, and all of a sudden the guy started using socialist language at a Christian college. This was actually the one time I owed and gave a Carlin Was Right super chat, because Carlin told me I would see socialism here, and I swore up and down I wouldn't. Guys, I promise you, I know that learning is not the thing that people want to do. I know it's hard. I know there's no shortcut. I know it takes time. You'd rather be doing other things. Watching communism is boring. Well, it's not actually boring once you get into it. It's actually the most crazy thing in the world once you get into it. But if you trust me and you stick with me, give it a month or two, stick with me, come to the streams, come to Socialism Saturday, dig into the archives, watch the video clips. If you get depressed, let us know. Ask lots of questions. If it's hard to watch, let us know. Because every single person that watches this content has been through that process. Trust me, there is a process of dissidence that you go through. I went through it live on the internet about 3 years ago. We will help you along, but you have to show up and you have to commit to doing it. Think of it as running a marathon. I used to run marathons. Actually, hang on. I have 2 of my marathon medals right here. Fun fact. Some people know this, some people don't. These are my Boston Marathon medals from 2014 and 2015. I just have them sitting on my desk over here. It's kind of like a reminder that I can do anything, because that was hard. That was hard. The reason I bring up marathon running is I don't run anymore now. I hurt myself really badly the last marathon I ran, which was the 2015 Boston Marathon. I hurt myself really badly, and my leg has never quite recovered because I ran that marathon injured, and that's not, I won't go into a lot of detail. I messed up my leg bad. But I really do think that running a marathon is something everyone should do at some point in their life, because you learn what you are capable of when you train for and run a marathon. And I'm not saying you have to run it fast. You don't have to run it fast, but there's a process that people go through when you hit that wall, because you will hit a wall when you run a marathon. It happens around mile 20. And your body just runs out of carbs, because your body can only, even if you eat properly, your body can only hold so much, and your body transitions over to burning fat. And when you do that, that's what's called hitting the wall, where you don't feel like you have anything left to give, but you have to keep going because you've got 6.2 miles left. There is a mental barrier that you can overcome where you learn that you can do anything. If you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you will finish that race. And when you get that medal around your neck, there's no better feeling in the world, no matter how much pain you're in. And I've been in a lot of pain when I've finished a marathon. There's no better feeling in the world than knowing that you overcame that challenge, that hurdle. People think that everything should be easy. People think that everything should be easy. This drives me crazy about internet culture. They think that everything should be easy. They think that everything should be handed to them. There is no shortcut when you're running a marathon. You either do the training or you don't do the training. You either finish the race or you don't finish the race. The race is not going to get any shorter just to adapt to you. You need to adapt to the race. It's the same thing with learning this. It's the same thing with learning anything. People expect all these shortcuts to be given to them. They don't want to sit down and actually do what is required. But when you do what's required and you challenge yourself and you overcome those obstacles and you learn more than you ever thought you could, because you put the time in and you put the work in and you know what it's like to try to do something correctly rather than doing something quickly. That's what you learn when you run a marathon. You learn how to show up and do the hard thing, because doing the hard thing is what is required to achieve the goal. And there is no shortcut in the world that can be given to you, because a marathon is 26.2 miles long and you either finish the 26.2 miles or you don't. It is the same thing with learning about the left. You either show up and you immerse yourself in their language and you use all the tools and all the resources that I give you, and I will give you plenty of free tools and I'll give you plenty of free resources, and I will answer all your questions and I will stick by you through the whole thing. As long as you're showing up to learn, I will show up to teach you. But there is no shortcut. There is no bulleted list. There is no link, one single link that I can give you that's going to explain everything. You have to show up knowing that it is a process of learning. You are learning to speak a different language. You cannot learn to speak a different language overnight. And what I wish more people would do is to challenge themselves to say, I don't want to live in a communist world. I don't want to live in a communist society. I don't want my kids to live in a communist society. So even though it's inconvenient for me to take a couple hours out of my day to watch the left and to learn about the left and to read these articles and to watch these video clips and to come to Socialism Saturday, even though that's inconvenient to me, there's other things I'd rather be doing. I know I have to do it if I care about defeating the left. And if you can find someone else that's a better teacher than me for you, then go learn from them. I don't really care. If you have somewhere else you can go where you can get the same level of knowledge, more power to you. I'm not going to try to stop you in any way. I'm not the best teacher for everyone. That's fine. But trying to find a shortcut to solving this problem is why this problem exists in the first place. Because all the right has done for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades is to try to find the shortcut. And when they're trying to find the shortcut, the problem just keeps getting bigger because the shortcut doesn't solve the problem. People have to take this seriously. They have to show up and do what's required. And if you're not willing to do that, we will live in a socialist utopia, probably in our lifetimes, and certainly your kids will, and your kids will suffer for it because you refuse to show up for a couple hours a week and learn about the left. And I'm not asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars, guys, but I'm going to tell you the truth. There is no shortcut to this, and if you are not going to overcome that challenge of saying, you know what, I'm going to do the thing I don't necessarily want to do, then don't be surprised when they win and you lose, and you look back and you go, you know what, that couple hours a week maybe would have been a better use of my time than fucking around on the internet or on Twitter or watching some stupid cat video or whatever. Maybe I could have done a little bit more to protect my kids from this eventuality. Maybe.
I was more of an anarchist more than a Marxist. I came across a video of one of the RCA's first marches. I was pretty amazed because before that I had never seen, in recent times, I had never seen an organization brandishing the hammer and sickle and those banners and boldly proclaiming their goals and their ambitions. And so I was pretty amazed, and I started researching them. And the more I got in contact with one of an already established members, and the more I started talking to them, the more I became a Marxist. I guess I became a communist. I said I was an anarchist beforehand, but once it cleverly pointed out to me the problems with that ideology and how Marxism addresses them as well, it was much easier to be integrated within the party completely, which I really admire him for that, his ability to do that.
My first interaction with the RCA was the May Day. To know that there were so many people that shared these ideas, that weren't scared to share these ideas, and that were willing to take it seriously, because capitalism tries to isolate and individualize everybody. So it felt like he was serious about it. So it was nice to know that there were people.
Capitalism tries to isolate and individualize everybody. I want everyone to hang on. White supremacy culture, African American History Museum. Hang on. Let me make sure I have this graphic. Capitalism, what did that say? Capitalism tries to individualize and isolate everybody. Does anyone remember this? This is the the assumption and aspects of whiteness and white culture exhibit that appeared in the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C. in 2020. What is the first thing on this list? Rugged individualism. Rugged individualism is a part of whiteness and white culture. The individual is the primary unit. Self-reliance, independence, and autonomy are highly valued, rewarded. Individuals assumed to be in control of their environment. You get what you deserve. That is the very first bullet point on the aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture exhibit from the Smithsonian. What did we just hear this young high school communist say? Let's go back to this video. What did we just hear this young high school communist say?
To share these ideas and that we're willing to take it seriously because capitalism tries to isolate and individualize everybody. So
Capitalism tries to isolate and individualize everyone. I get in arguments with dissident right-wingers all the time. I just did earlier today. They say they hate white people and they just want to kill all white people. And Carlin, don't you remember the whiteness exhibit where they said all white people are bad? And I try to explain to them, this is not about white skin color. It's not about white skin color at all. It's never been about white skin color. Whiteness means capitalism. That is what whiteness, white culture, white supremacy means to the far left. It is not a reference to skin color. It is a reference to systemic racism, which is the system that upholds racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism, because they believe that capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, created slavery in the United States. Slavery is the ownership of people as private property. The owners, the bourgeois, the capitalists were classified as white. The owned, the proletarian, the slaves, the private property were classified as black. That is what created the concepts of black and white people. They do not believe that black and white people existed before slavery in America created them. Slavery was created by capitalism. Capitalism created the concepts, the social constructs of black people and white people based on who was the owner of the private property and who was owned. That construct created systemic racism. Systemic racism does not mean skin color. It means the system that upholds racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism, because capitalism is what created it in the first place. And you just heard that young high school communist say, capitalism creates a society where people are individualized and isolated. And then we look at this white supremacy culture document from the Smithsonian, and the very first bullet point on it is rugged individualism as a component of white supremacy culture. It's not about skin color. It's about the system that upholds racism. That's what systemic racism means. Or if we're talking about institutionalized racism, institutional racism, the institution that upholds racism. The left believes that the only way to get rid of racism is to abolish capitalism, because they believe capitalism, which is private property ownership, created all problems, including racism in the first place. Does everyone understand this? Let's listen one more time. I need to set up the sound again on this to make sure everyone can hear. When this high school communist says that capitalism individualizes and isolates people, that's what he is referring to.
scared to share these ideas and that we're willing to take it seriously because capitalism tries to isolate and individualize everybody. So it felt like he was serious about it. So it was nice to know that there were people organizing, taking it seriously, and willing to scream it in the streets, which we literally did. So that helped make a strong impression. But when I started meeting up with the Upper Darby South, their professionalism, their ability to answer questions in a patient manner, their willingness to help shape my construed, slightly Stalinist ideas of communism into productive Trotskyist communist conclusions. It was very helpful. They're very patient. That's a trend that
Oh, he just said that he took that the Revolutionary Communists of America took his Stalinist ideas and they transitioned him into Trotskyist ideas. Isn't that funny? Because the Revolutionary Communists of America hate Stalin.
I've noticed within the RCA is that usually online you'll encounter quote leftists that are really, really aggressive and not willing to have a productive conversation, a productive dialogue. So the RCA was willing to have that, and that's really helped me to grow and learn.
As I've learned more about it, I've just everywhere else seems like they're either faking it or they're just not that like confident in it. But the RCA seems to actually be trying really hard to do it. So that's why I've stayed.
So what have the results been for these comrades organizing in or right out of high school?
Yeah, no, we have a group of about 4 communists at the high school that are building the cell where we can. And even people that wouldn't call themselves communists, they're willing to put up those posters for us. They come to us and they're like, hey, yeah, I'll put some of these up, which is great to me because it shows that even if they aren't entirely convinced, that they have at least a little bit of faith in us to address the problems that we both see as problems, but maybe we don't really agree on the best way to go about it. Their whole lives, they're fed lies and propaganda about communism, Marxism, and namely, places like the USSR and Cuba, especially in a place like Texas. And so those lies are not only taught, but propagated through mainstream dialogue. So it's refreshing to have a group of people that are combating those lies and actually spreading the truth, what these ideas are actually about.
I'm going to Queen's College. And when we started to build at first, when we opened our first table on campus, I had at least 5 students the same day coming up to us and being like, well, where were you guys last year? Where were you the year before that? We have waited for you for so long, and we are here and ready to get organized. And then we took all of these students, we were getting them into branches. And all of a sudden, I see them a week later coming with us to help us recruit other people. All of a sudden, they started to really read with us, really do the readings, really study theory, and then at the same time use it and implement it when talking to other students on campus as well. And then you see more and more students being so enthusiastic and being like, yeah, we want to build, we want to really cause change. And we even had a student coming up to us. She saw our table. She also asked us, why weren't you guys here for so long? And, she bought 3 booklets. She bought our paper. And a week later, she comes to branch. And then she really gets into it. And then a week later, she comes with us and she really helped us recruit as well. All of a sudden, I see her going to 3 people, a group of people, and really agitating in front of them and be like, yeah, you should join the Revolutionary Communists of America so quickly. And I believe that can happen with a lot of people who really want to bring a change.
Yeah, I was 17 when I joined. When I got recruited, I immediately recruited my friend.
There's so many communists out there who just need these ideas to be presented and to know that it is an option, because our whole lives we're told that it isn't an option, but in reality it is.
The initial starting members were just my friends, the ones I usually talk to most of the time, and usually they're the ones who hear the most about what I say and what I believe in. So I started with them first, but then eventually just started reaching out towards other peers and other members of the school as well. It is pretty surprising because before I didn't really think it would have been too popular ideology. I thought it's going to be the minority.
That last comrade that spoke has gone from those small beginnings to developing a group of 30 people that are interested in communism. And so we're very excited to see what the results of that are. But it's not just students that are drawn to the...
Wait. That young comrade has developed a group of 30 people that are interested in communism. Oh, yeah? See, this is another thing. This is another thing that the right does. They see some of these videos and they're like, that has no views. I don't know why you're doing this, Carlin. That has no views. These people have no influence. When was the last time that a high school conservative recruited 30 other people to be high school conservatives? When has that ever happened? Name me one single young conservative that has by themselves, just going out on their own initiative, started by having conversations with their friends in high school and recruited a group of 30 young conservatives. Can anyone think of an example where that has ever happened? And yet we're listening right now to a communist group talking about how one high school communist got really excited, joined the Revolutionary Communists of America, got their materials, started having conversations with their friends, and before not too long, they had recruited 30 communists. Let's listen again.
To be the minority.
That last comrade that spoke has gone from those small beginnings to developing a group of 30 people that are interested in communism.
And that number will get poo-pooed by the right. They'll be like, oh, it's only 30 people. That's one high school communist. The Revolutionary Communists of America, the last time I heard, have like quadrupled in size in the last year. This is how recruiting works, guys. This is how organizing works. Organizing is not posting a video on YouTube and getting millions of views and all of a sudden getting all these followers. That's not how real organizing works. That's internet bullshit. Real organizing works by going out and having conversations with people and getting them interested and engaged in the process and creating a social community for them so that they have a place to go where they have friends in real life, not on the internet, where they can talk about their ideas and they can learn about things they're excited about together. And that happens in small groups. It only takes a spark to get a fire going. This is the spark. All of this stuff happens. All organizing happens in small numbers, and those small numbers add up to big numbers over time. Thank you, Dragon Balls. Appreciate it.
And so we're very excited to see what the results of that are. But it's not just students that are drawn to these ideas by their fellow students. There's also an impact that our student comrades are having on teachers.
I've gotten comments from sometimes teachers when we're working, or professors when we're working at universities, and they're so excited to see young people out there doing something, and they're saying, like, oh, I did this in college, or I did this a while ago, and like seeing us is something that gives them a lot of hope.
I know recently, I'm not high school anymore, but in university, there's a lot of us communists here at UNT, and we're constantly getting recognized as
UNT. Is that University of North Texas? What's UNT? UNT. Bet you that's University of North Texas. There are a lot of us communists here at UNT.
Communists here recently,
and like seeing us is something that gives them a lot of hope.
I know recently, I'm not high school anymore, but in university, there's a lot of us communists here at UNT, and we're constantly getting recognized as the communists. So every now and then, someone I don't know at all will approach me and, oh, you're one of the communists, right? Yeah, of course. And so we'll just have a conversation on what that means for me, why I'm a communist, why I believe, the capitalist system must be overthrown. And a lot of the times they'll be shaking their head like, yeah. I even just yesterday, I had one of my TAs ask me, oh, are you a communist? Because I have one of the stickers on my water bottle. And so he was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So there's even with teachers, I mean, especially teachers in high school, to be honest, they get so incredibly overworked. I know from experience, one of my favorite math teacher in high school was constantly working at least 50 hours, maybe 60 hours a week. She was constantly burnt out, tired, and hanging by a thread, right? And that's the kind of thing that capitalism pushes teachers into. The high school education system is so poorly funded, and even my high school was probably like middle.
Capitalism is responsible for the poor education system in America, according to communists. Rottweiler, thank you for the super chat. It's even worse. The MAGA conservatives becoming complacent during these 4 years will make the pendulum swing harder in favor of the commies when Trump is out because of how they underestimated the left. Oh, I think the pendulum's going to swing way before Trump is out. I think the pendulum's going to start swinging this summer. I really do. I think we are in for it this summer. Now, they're going to protest the inauguration, and then things are going to get quiet for a little while because it's winter and it's cold. But I promise you, come this summer, especially if Trump does his mass deportations, if you live in a blue city, you better get ready to hunker down, honestly, because there are going to be massive protests around the mass deportations if Trump actually does that. And I want Trump to do that. I'm in favor of that. I'm not saying Trump shouldn't do it. He absolutely should do it. But there are going to be massive protests about it in a way that I don't think that anyone is prepared for. Thank you for the super chat.
Of the road for funding, but still it was constantly suffering from utter collapse. So many of the teachers, I think it was near like half the teachers at one point were substitutes because there was so many that were leaving. The whole math department ended up being only like 4 full-time math teachers, and the rest ended up being substitutes. And so that there's definitely a lot of potential there. I didn't have the experience at that moment to connect to that, but now that I see that, now that I'm more educated as a communist, that's definitely a layer that is heavily exploited, that would be very open to talking about these ideas. Why are they forced to work so long? Why are they paid such crappy wages that they can't hire any more teachers? They can't hire any good teachers that will stick around for very long.
I've been speaking with some of the teachers that I'm closest with about what we do in the party and getting feedback from them. Just stuff like their pay. Yeah, the goal would be just try and get them to get interested in what the organization has to say about the problems that they face. And I think if they do that, they'll find it pretty appealing. There are a couple teachers that are just completely anti-communist, and they make it a part of their personality. But there are definitely a lot of teachers that I see potential in.
Andrew made a pamphlet for teachers in his high school, and I think that that's a great example of not letting your age or the fact that you're in high school deter you from organizing within the working class.
One example that stands out to me, me and comrade Jan, we were in a area where supposedly Jan told me that a lot of people from Bangladesh are living there. And because of the Bangladesh revolution that happened, we were going around there asking people if they're from Bangladesh and how they feel about the revolution. And we were talking about this one guy, and he was just completely agreeing with everything we said, and how the workers need to take power. So, and not the military, not the old government, none of those people can't be there. And he was completely agreeing with those statements, which we were super happy about.
This is the bold action that is necessary to build a revolutionary party and ultimately to have a revolution. But a lot of young people might feel like they don't have the ability to explain these ideas that they agree with. And there's really no way around that other than to educate yourself.
As I read more about dialectics, I was able to see the process in these books, in State and Revolution, and in everything else. The method that these people were using became so much more visible to me, and I was able to actually understand the line of their thought process. Wait, did it say this? And
did I just miss this? We made pamphlets for the teachers? Hang on. Did I miss this because I was zoning out or something? I apologize for going back, but I feel like I need to. I made holy shit, I see potential. Made a pamphlet for teachers in his. Wow. Hang on. Again.
There are a couple teachers that are just completely anti-communist, and they make it a part of their personality. But there are definitely a lot of teachers that I see potential in.
Andrew made a pamphlet for teachers in his high school, and I think that that's a great example of not letting your age or the fact that you're in high school deter you from organizing within the working class.
One example that stands out to me, me and a comrade Jan, we were in a area where supposedly Jan told me that a lot of people from Bangladesh are living there. And because of the Bangladesh revolution that happened, we were going around there asking people if they're from Bangladesh and how they feel about the revolution. And we were talking about this one guy, and he was just completely agreeing with everything we just said, and how the workers need to take power. So and not the military, not the old government, none of those people can't be there. And he was completely agreeing with those statements, which we were super happy about.
This is the bold action that is necessary to build a revolutionary party and ultimately to have a revolution. But a lot of young people might feel like they don't have the ability to explain these ideas that they agree with. And there's really no way around that other than to educate yourself.
As I read more about dialectics, I was able to see the process in these books.
There is no way around that. There is no way to learn how to explain these ideas to other people other than to educate yourself. What does that sound like? You cannot explain these ideas to other people unless you educate yourself. This is so simple, guys. It's like on the airplane. Do you know how when you're on the airplane and you're going someplace and they have to do the safety briefing and they say there's a mask that's going to drop from the ceiling and make sure you put on your own mask before you help anyone else with their mask? You have to do for yourself what you're asking other people to do. If you refuse to do for yourself what you're asking other people to do, or you're trying to help other people to do, then you're not going to be successful in doing that thing because you haven't done it for yourself first. You have to do this for yourself first, and then you put yourself in a position of helping other people. That's why we spend time doing this.
The ability to explain these ideas that they agree with, and there's really no way around that other than to educate yourself.
As I read more about dialectics, I was able to see the process in these books in State and Revolution, and in everything else. Like the method that these people were using became so much more visible to me, and I was able to actually understand the line of their thought process and things like that. And I thought that that was very important to me, and it gave me a lot deeper understanding of those works. And even in our own articles, you can kind of see the development of them and the method being used within them. I thought that was very influential for me. And there's so many things to read about. Really, there's just so much out there. Just read. How do you expect to change the world if you don't even know anything about it? This is the only way that we can actually change things.
See?
People appreciate that and appreciate when we can answer their questions, and answer them in a serious way. I think it was really dialectics, and learning about the philosophy that stuck me into it, because originally I hadn't read a lot about Marxism or anything like that. So I just started with the basics, like the Communist Manifesto, the classics, what is Marxism, the book as well. And in everything that I've read, it's always been dialectics that catches my eye. I was practically mute for 3 years because I was in so much despair from capitalism itself. I basically kind of stopped talking because I didn't see that anything that I could say or anything that I would do was important. That kind of nihilism of nothing matters, nothing I do is going to change anything, really impacted my personality and the way that I interacted with people. But
I want people to hear this. We're going to listen to that part again. She is literally saying that communism gives her hope. Communism gives her purpose. Communism gives her life meaning. Communism gives her a voice. Her voice was taken away from her because of how she perceives the world under capitalism, how black-pilled she is, probably based on what she's learned in school about capitalism, to the point where she didn't think there was any purpose to life, and she just stopped trying as a high schooler because the world was so bleak and she didn't see how she was ever going to be able to do what she wanted to do. And then she discovered communism, and all of a sudden the world had meaning and purpose. You know, people ask, like, why are these kids attracted to communism? Don't they know that real communism has never been tried? First of all, no, they don't, because that's not actually what they teach. They teach that we have to have global communism in order for it to work. So they're trying to give them a vision of hope there. But these kids are not attracted to communism because they're lazy. They're not attracted to communism because they want to control other people. They're attracted to communism because the way that it is presented to them in the public schools and through recruitment programs like this, it gives them hope. It gives them meaning. It gives they find meaning and purpose in going out and recruiting other communists. These are high school communists telling you that it gives their life meaning and purpose to go out and create more communists. They're not mentally ill. They really think that communism is going to give them a better life. They really do believe that. They believe that because of everything that's been taught to them in the public schools. That's not their fault, guys. It's not their fault. It's our fault for allowing this to happen in the public schools. It's our fault. It's the fault of every adult that just sent their kids to school without bothering to look at what was being taught. It's the fault of every person in a position of political power to do something that pandered to people with a bullshit narrative rather than actually doing something about it. It's the fault of every conservative teacher in schools that pretended they weren't a conservative because they were so afraid of losing their jobs that they just didn't want anyone to know, and they just went along with it because they had to keep their jobs. It's the fault of everyone. It's not their fault, though. They're kids. They did what they were supposed to do. They went to school and they listened to the people they were told to listen to, because the adults in their life told them that this is how it's supposed to be, and you're supposed to go to school, and you're supposed to listen to your teachers, and you're supposed to trust your teachers. And then they didn't know. No one knew, because no one was paying attention, that this was integrated into the curriculum from the time they were 5 years old. And the curriculum that they were taught by the schools that their parents sent them to taught them that the world was dark and they had insurmountable obstacles in front of them because of capitalism. And you're hearing high school kids say the word capitalism explicitly, so don't tell me they don't know it's capitalism. You can hear that they're saying capitalism explicitly over and over and over again. They were taught that capitalism has made it impossible for them to live a full and productive life, to the point where this high school student is saying, I literally lost my voice. And communism and recruiting people to communism and learning about communism gave me my voice back. It gave my life meaning. It gave my life purpose. It gave my life hope. This is not mental illness. This is happening because it's been a strategic plan for it to happen, where they are being brainwashed in the public schools and indoctrinated into a cult, and it's not their fault. It's all of our faults. And this is why we take the responsibility to learn about what is going on, because it is all of our faults that this has happened in the first place. And so if we don't take the responsibility to learn about what's going on, to figure out how we can reverse engineer this, to figure out how we can get ahead of this, there ain't no fixing this. There is no quick fix to this problem. This problem has been around for 100 years. I grew up in the Baptist church, used to canvass malls in the 80s and 90s, handing out Bible tracts to fellow teens, conversing, sharing. The RCA has the same approach. Yeah, they do, Dragon Balls. Yeah, they do. I just want people to hear this again. And she's saying explicitly, capitalism made my life despair. Communism gave my life meaning. Listen to this again. High school student.
That these people were using became so much more visible to me, and I was able to actually understand the line of their thought process and things like that. And I thought that was very important to me, and it gave me a lot deeper understanding of those works. And even in our own articles, you can kind of see the development of them and the method being used within them. I thought that was very influential for me. And there's so many things to read about. Really, like there's just so much out there. Just like read. How do you expect to change the world if you don't even know anything about it? This is the only way that we can actually change things. People appreciate that and appreciate when we can answer their questions and answer them in a serious way. I think it was really dialectics and learning about the philosophy that stuck me into it, because originally I hadn't read a lot about Marxism or anything like that. So I just started with the basics, like the Communist Manifesto, the classics, like what is Marxism, the book as well. And in everything that I've read, it's always been dialectics that catches my eye. I was practically mute for like 3 years because I was in so much despair from capitalism itself. I basically kind of stopped talking because I didn't see that anything that I could say or anything that I would do was important. That kind of nihilism of nothing matters, nothing I do is going to change anything really impacted my personality and the way that I interacted with people. But joining this organization and there being the expectation to go out and tell people about these ideas really broke me out of that. I needed something to fight for, something to give me hope. And the transition was very drastic. I've thrown myself into these ideas, into studying Marxism and into this party because I felt so horrible. I've had experiences of like going to paper sales and people kind of asking, like how old are you? Like, why are you doing this? Or like, you're too young to be spending your life like this. And I think that that's completely ridiculous. I think that this is the exact way to spend your life as a young person, is to fight for your future. There's nobody else that is going to do that. And like, this is my future, this is the future of me and all my loved ones on the line. There is nothing that is worth more time and more effort to be putting into.
Millions of high schoolers take their study quite seriously, be it in the classroom or even better, their study of Marxism. That's because they know that knowledge is power, that we have to know what we are doing if we are going to change the world. Despite what MSNBC might say, it's not young people's fault that we're forced to digest the horrible crap that passes for culture. That's capitalism. It is capitalism that makes social media addictive and then blames young people for their addiction and problems with attention spans.
It's capitalism that makes social media addictive. Do people understand that communists believe that capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, creates all problems? Capitalism is not an economic model, guys. It's a cultural model. It's everything. It's literally everything. It's not just you go into the store and you buy stuff. It is every institution. It is every interaction. It is every human relationship. It is everything. They literally believe that private property ownership, which is what their definition of capitalism is, creates all problems in the world. Private property ownership includes your ability to own a home, your ability to own land, your ability to own an apartment rental that you rent out as a landlord, your ability to own intellectual property, your ability to own a business, whether that business is big or small, your parental rights over your kids, your individual liberties. Those are all considered to be forms of private property under capitalism. These are all forms that allow you to amass personal private wealth. That's what bourgeois property means. That's what private property is. Bourgeois property. Property you can use to amass personal privatized wealth. Because when you amass privatized wealth, you have more resources than other people, and that's what creates the hierarchy. When people have more stuff, more resources, more money, more bourgeois property than other people, they become the bourgeois capitalist and over the oppressed proletarian. This person just said capitalism created the problems with social media. Because it's not about you going into the store and buying stuff. It is a cultural model to them.
Despite what MSNBC might say, it's not young people's fault that we're forced to digest the horrible crap that passes for culture. That's capitalism. It is capitalism that makes social media addictive and then blames young people for their addiction and problems with attention spans. But the serious young workers, of which there are millions, can see right through this. Another theme, I think, is the transformation of doomerism into revolutionary optimism. A few years ago, this term emerged called doomerism, which described the high rates of depression, anxiety, and fear within the youngest layers of the population. First of all, who can blame young people for feeling doomed? Capitalism is destroying the world and our lives with it. And capitalism doesn't teach us how to overthrow it. Capitalism provides us no solution. It only teaches us that we are doomed and to turn inwards, to leave the world and give up. But communists always understood that this trend had within it the potential to turn into its opposite, to take ownership over your ability as part of the working class to...
Okay. James Lindsay says over and over and over again that people are communists because they want to abdicate all responsibility. What the high school communist has just told you is that it's capitalism that makes them want to abdicate responsibility, but communism makes them want to take on responsibility because they see it as their responsibility as part of the working class to build a better world. Do people understand that? The right truly believes that these kids are just lazy, they're mentally ill, they don't want any responsibility, they just want free stuff, they want everything done for them. The high school communists are saying, communism makes me want to take on more responsibility because I see myself as a part of the solution to this problem that is making my life dark and depressive. The capitalism is making my life depressive. Communism gives me hope, and so I will take on the responsibility of creating a communist world, becoming a communist recruiter in high school because I want to build this better world. This is why we listen to the left. This is why we do not buy into the bullshit right-wing talking points. And listen, there was a time in my life when I believed those right-wing talking points. Right after I left the left, I was like, yeah, the right is right about this. But then I actually started listening to these people, and the right could not be more wrong about what's going on. Let's listen again. Capitalism is destroying our world. It's taking away our hope. Communism makes us want to take responsibility for building a better world. High school communist.
Who can blame young people for feeling doomed? Capitalism is destroying the world and our lives with it. And capitalism doesn't teach us how to overthrow it. Capitalism provides us no solution. It only teaches us that we are doomed and to turn inwards, to leave the world and give up. But communists always understood that this trend had within it the potential to turn into its opposite, to take ownership over your ability as part of the working class to organize and change the world. Once it is understood how this can be done consciously by the world working class. The comrades you heard today spoke about going through this beautiful process, transforming from a depressed, mute high schooler, sad about the world and pessimistic about the future, into a dedicated communist who can't stop herself from organizing after meeting a professional revolutionary organization built on the most powerful ideas, the ideas of Marxism. Lastly, notice the theme of everyone's concluding message to high schoolers around the country.
Seriously, you're not alone. I mean, anyone with two eyes and ears knows about what's going on in the world. They see the just horrors of capitalism. They see the fact that Florida was hit with two horrible hurricanes recently. Everyone knows about what's happening in Gaza. And
Capitalism is responsible for the hurricanes in Florida because they believe that capitalism is responsible for all climate change.
I would say that frustration that you feel when you wake up and you go on your phone and you see like a mother pleading over her dead child, you are not alone in that feeling of frustration and anger, because I promise you, hundreds, if not millions of people feel that same kind of frustration. You know, the difference is, what are you going to do about it? Are you gonna allow yourself to just keep on reposting in hopes that might accomplish something, or are you gonna go out there and go build something, make something that will legitimately end capitalism, end the genocide in Gaza, end homelessness, provide free education, allow quality food? You can sit by and you can lament, but you could also get up and you can actually do something. So yeah, you're not alone.
I'd say, you're not alone. You're not the only one who feels this, and that's a really good thing. There's so many people out here who are just as angry with the capitalist system as you are, and it's only together that we can really change this. It's not for nothing that Karl Marx said, workers of the world, unite. You too are part of the working class. If you want to see change in this world, get organized, get together with thousands, millions of other young people, and you can start bringing change immediately on your campus, because there's at least millions of young people who feel exactly the same and want to change this world.
Something I will say to the youth, if I could, is the fact that we do have the power to cause a change. Universities today are nothing but a training ground for future workers, and so is high school. If we want to cause a change, we have to get organized. And I know that the majority of the youth does want to see a change. They don't feel represented by neither parties. They're tired of the lesser evilism, but they just don't see an alternative. And that's why we, the Revolutionary Communists of America, have to be this alternative and really try to bring them forward and really put our conclusions and make sure that we put theory first and really teach the students to really put it into practice, talking to their fellow students within campuses. And I believe that that's what we should do. That's what we should really strive for.
What is it going to take for you to finally get organized? If Breonna Taylor, if George Floyd didn't do it, if seeing climate change worsen before our eyes didn't do it, if Iraq, Afghanistan, now Iran and Israel didn't do it, what is it going to take? Just ask yourself that question.
Fight for something and for a future where workers have more control over their own lives and where resources are shared, and where like equality socially and economically isn't just a dream, but maybe possibly a reality that we can actually experience.
I think I would say that you can change, what's going to happen. Capitalism is in inevitable decline, and you, along with all of the other young people, have so much power. You have power when you're organized, and you're going to grow up, you're going to join the workforce. And while that's happening, capitalism is going to decline. If you join, you can train yourself in these ideas, you can learn them, and you can best be able to recruit and convey them to other people. There is a way you can change things, and it's by getting organized in a communist party.
Capitalism breeds isolation. It makes us look at ourselves as individuals, survive on our own, compete against everyone else, and avoid contact with the rest of the world.
There it is again. Capitalism makes us look at ourselves as individuals. We need to survive on our own. We need to compete with each other. This is why they're against individualism and meritocracy. Because individualism and meritocracy uphold capitalism. Capitalism created individualism and meritocracy. You cannot have, if you get rid of individualism and meritocracy, you will not have capitalism. Does everyone understand that? We talked about this earlier. You just said it again.
And it's by getting organized in a communist party.
Capitalism breeds isolation. It makes us look at ourselves as individuals, survive on our own, compete against everyone else, and avoid contact with the rest of the world. This blinds us to the fact that, in reality, there's actually millions of other people of all ages, really, who agree with these ideas, who hate capitalism, who want to join an organization, and who want to fight for communism. That's why the message from each of these comrades to the rest of the world is to realize that you are not alone and to get organized. If this is the case for just a handful of high schoolers, imagine the possibilities when the millions of communist youth realize they are not alone and get organized. That is precisely the future we are preparing for. So if that rings true to you, we appeal to you to join the RCA. We end with a quote from Trotsky. Communism is the struggle for the future, for the happiness of future generations. Our immediate future is embodied in the younger generation. Drawing it into the struggle means that tomorrow is provided for. The more widely and more powerfully the youth movement develops, the firmer is our confidence that counter-revolution will not overcome us.
I just like that Soviet music playing at the end. You guys like that full Soviet anthem playing at the end? How are people feeling right now? We spent 2 days working our way through this video because there was so much to dissect, and it's a lot. There's a lot in this video. How are people feeling right now? Michael B says, this is ghastly. I think that's a very appropriate characterization. Bot says we're screwed. Chris says we're fucked. Teresa's feeling numb. Julius isn't feeling good. Chris says we're totally fucked. Reagan says it's a little terrifying. They're getting stronger. Judy's feeling depressed. Bot's feeling black pill. Jennifer says she feels sorry for them. I feel sorry for them and us. Mitchell's not feeling so great. Dragon Balls, thanks for the super chat. They are teaching that capitalism will fail. They are preparing for the revolution. It's not an if, but when. Yeah, they believe that we're in late stage capitalism. They believe that we are in the final days of capitalism. And that means, guys, they truly do believe the revolution is just around the corner. They really do. And I agree with them. I think we've got 15 years tops. That includes Trump being elected president. That includes the Republicans controlling the House and the Senate. I don't think this has changed anything in regards to the timeline of the inevitable revolution. I mean, someone was telling me on Twitter today, they were saying, Carlin, socialism is just a code word for civil war. And I said to them, no, it's not. Civil war is not going to, the Civil War, guys, I've talked about this before, but just in case people are new, the Civil War is not going to be left versus right. It's not going to be red versus blue. It's not going to be Democrat versus Republican. The Civil War is going to be radical revolutionary socialists and communists versus the federal government. That's what the Civil War is going to be. Radical revolutionaries versus the federal government. And they've spent the last 100 years infiltrating every layer of it. And by the way, they're going to be kicking and screaming if Donald Trump tries to defund these departments, because that's going to take away one of their strongholds in the federal government to be able to elicit their revolution. But they're going to try to violently overthrow the U.S. government. We have them on video talking about it. I have communists on video at least 4 times talking overtly about violently overthrowing the federal government. I put all these clips out there and no one covers it. Well, that's not true. Andy No actually did cover the last one, so that's not true. Got to give Andy No props because Andy No's a good dude. But the Civil War is going to be these people versus the government, and these people are going to win, and it's going to be quick when it happens, and there's going to be violent skirmishes leading up to it, but the real violence is going to come at the very, very end when they already know they've won. It's kind of like that movie Civil War. Did anyone actually see that movie? It's actually a pretty good movie. But in the movie Civil War, you've got all these different factions that are trying to overthrow the federal government, and they never actually say who's in what faction or what side they're on. It's more kind of like a general like mise-en-scène of what the Civil War is. But guess what happened? There was violent skirmishes, and then at the very end, boom, they violently overthrew the federal government and killed the president. I don't mean to do a spoiler alert or anything, but the movie's been out for a while, and so you should have watched it by now. It is a good movie, though, if you want to go and watch it. It's not woke or anything, but that's what it's going to be. It's going to be violent skirmishes strewn about over the next 10 to 15 years. It's going to happen here and there. Things are going to start to get more and more destabilized. There are going to be more and more factions created. And then right at the end, when they know they've already won, boom! That's when the real violence is, and that's when they overthrow the federal government, and that's when we're all fucked. Fun times. Fun times. Well, this is reality. This is reality, guys. And I'm glad people sat through this and heard this. And of course, we do stuff like this all the time. This is basically the most of the content that I do is deep dives into what the left is actually doing and teaching. This is from the Revolutionary Communists of America, which is one of the most organized far-left political parties in the United States today. They have an organized presence in over 30 U.S. cities. They are rapidly expanding. We now know they're recruiting high school students. We know they're recruiting high school students who are recruiting middle school students. These people have a system that works. They are committed. I hope you hear this. They are committed. They are engaged. They see themselves as part of the solution. They're not lazy. They're not mentally ill. They're not abdicating responsibility. They are out there trying to create what they believe is going to be a better world for themselves because they have been indoctrinated into a far-left cult in the public schools. We have got to start addressing what the actual problem is. Please homeschool your kids. If you have kids, Get them out of the public schools. Because even if Donald Trump defunds the Department of Education, which I hope he does, it's not going to solve the problem, guys. The problem is way bigger than that, and Donald Trump doesn't understand it. This is going to impact all of us in this lifetime. And people have got to start taking this seriously. I just don't know what more to say. Homeschooling isn't easy, but it must be done. People must start doing what's required. All right, guys, that is all I have for today. I'm going to be posting clips over on the Substack, which is carlin.substack.com. And again, I found out that I have the ability to post these clips as audio-only things in the podcast section. So I might be starting a new clip version of the podcast where I might still occasionally do podcast episodes as well, but I like the idea of posting clips. You can get the video clip on the Substack, but there'll be an audio-only version posted to the podcast. You can access the podcast on all the major podcasting platforms. You can see them here. It's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. This has just started the sound when it shouldn't have. So you can subscribe to the Actively Unwoke podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, over on my Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. Just go to podcast. And this is my free podcast that's available to everyone. And I do written articles over on the Substack. If you're new to my work, you're going to want to start with the Woke 101 series. Start with the Re-Education series up at the very top. This will provide you with a bunch of articles that you need to know to understand the radical revolutionary far left. I'm working on writing a book over at speaksocialist.substack.com that is going to be getting some updates tonight. I apologize for lack of updates. It is going to be getting some updates tonight. I promise. Pinky swear. Trust me, bro. But I am working on resources. The moral of the story is, guys, I am working on resources to try to make learning this stuff easier, but I only have so many hours in the day, all right? I'm doing the very best I can. Please bear with me. Sometimes this stuff just doesn't come as quickly as you want it to, but I'm really working on developing resources in the form of a book. You can access the chapters as I'm writing them and publishing them and editing them before it actually gets published as a book over at speaksocialist.substack.com. This is a premium option where you can actually read my next book before it's published, and that helps fund the work I'm doing, and then it will turn into a physical book, hopefully very soon, and that you can have in your hands to follow along with this stuff. The Substack, carlin.substack.com is my free Substack, mostly free, where you can support the work I'm doing. Sign up for a voluntary membership, $8 a month, $80 a year. I cannot do this without you guys. Please, if you are able to fund the work I'm doing, whether that be through Substack or Super Chats or donations or things like that, please help me do this, because I am 100% funded by you, by small dollar donations. I do not take money from any political organization, because my only job is to tell you the truth and to show you the receipts and to show you what's going on and to break it down and explain it. I am beholden to you and to you only. I'm not beholden to the Democrats. I'm not beholden to the Republicans. I'm not beholden to any fucking nonprofit. I tell you what I believe, and that way you always know that I'm telling you the truth as I see it. I might get things wrong every once in a while, although I usually don't get things wrong. I'm right like 99% of the time. But at least you know you're getting an authentic analysis, and you're not getting anyone's political narrative when you support my work. You're getting receipts. You can always decide for yourself what you think. And by the way, and I want to make sure this is clear, everyone is welcome to learn with me. I don't care if you're on the left or the right, or you're an independent or politically homeless. I don't care if you're part of a group that I've had issues with. I don't care if you're on the dissident right. I don't care if you're a national socialist. I don't even care if you're a communist or a socialist, or if you're a high schooler that got sucked into this ideology and you're like, maybe this isn't everything that I thought it was. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't care who you vote for. If you want to come and learn this content, I will teach you this content. We will treat everyone with respect and courtesy, as long as they're treating us with respect and courtesy. That is the rule of the channel. Everyone is welcome to come here and learn, and we are not rude to each other, and we don't insult each other, and we don't shitpost. We create a welcoming environment for everyone, and that's what I want to maintain, and that's what I want to keep, because we are not political tribalists. We have a goal, and that is to defeat the radical revolutionary left, and that's the way it goes. So, Michael B., thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Unrelated, but please accept as thanks for dunking and clowning magatarian retards. Oh, Angela on X. They have no clue on fighting this insanity either. Michael, bro, I could go on for days and days and days on this topic. it's one of the what has happened to the Libertarian Party, and Angela McArdle specifically is one of the most depressing things that I've experienced, because I believed in Angela. I was part of the Mises Caucus takeover in 2022. I really thought it was going to be better, and I think at the time it was. I think things have gone so downhill. I think that they lost their minds when Rechtenwald lost. I think that Rechtenwald lost his mind too, which is just really sad because I used to really like him and he just went crazy, and my heart broke for him when he lost. I didn't want him to lose. I supported him, but they all became sore loser, crazy people who have now become everything that the haters claim they were all along, and I hate it. And I'm so bitter about it. And I'm so pissed off at Angela for letting it happen because she's smarter than that. I'm so pissed off at Michael Heiss for letting this happen because he's smarter than that. I'm so pissed off at Dave Smith for fronting about this for years and years and years and pretending just to build clout and a brand on the internet. They have destroyed the Libertarian Party. And I do believe that the Libertarian philosophy is a beautiful philosophy, but it's one of those things that has led me to believe that engaging in libertarian politics, even though in my heart of hearts I'm an anarcho-capitalist, it's one of those things that makes me believe that there is no point in engaging in libertarian politics at all because of what has happened with the Libertarian Party and the Mises Caucus. It's so depressing to me. But I'm only doing what I can do. And the thing is, it's like, I don't need to be engaged in libertarian politics to teach people about the left and to sound the alarms about what's going on. And the people that actually care about the problem are going to show up. And the people that care about diddling around in libertarian politics are going to do that. And I'm just not going to let it get in my way. And I will be more effective by myself than the Libertarian Party as an entire unit. But I hope that, I really do hope they get their shit together eventually. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. I'm just so pissed at Angela. Like, it's so gross. It's so gross on a number of levels. I know most people don't understand libertarian politics, but I could go on and on for days about this because I was involved in it, and I have feelings, damn it. Anyway, we're going to cut the show there. Jennifer, thank you for giving me the night off from Distant Rage. This is Jennifer, my co-host on the show we usually do on Tuesday nights, but we're taking the night off because I just need the night off. All right. So I appreciate everyone. Send love to Jennifer, and we will be back, and we're going to do a great show on the Anunnaki next time we're back. And I will see you guys tomorrow on the stream at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and we will just keep going in this crazy, crazy, crazy world. All right, guys, take care. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.